Hi everybody, welcome to part 2 of the tutorial video. So in this part what we're going to do is use the sprites that we cut up in last session, in the last tutorial, and what we're going to do now is start to create some animations. So what I'm going to do first is close my animation tab off because I'm going to show you how to bring that up. So what we're going to do first of all, we need to create a sprite container. So we need to create some kind of character container that will hold our animations. So we're going to do that by using a game object. So there are a few different ways of which you can create one of those. You can right click anywhere in the hierarchy and go to create empty. Just click that and that will create, as you can see there, it's created a game object. What we can do with that is we can go into the inspector and name that character. Or there's another way of bringing that up. What we can do is, as you can see in the bar across the top, again, like last video, this will look a little bit different as I'm using a Mac, but the principles again are the same. So you do have this bar across the top, but it's built into the actual Unity window as opposed to being separate. So what you do is click on game object there and just click create empty. As you can see, that's created another empty game object. I'm just going to delete that because I already have one in there, but that was just to show you the different methods. So we're going to actually start dropping our little sprites into an animation sequence. So what we need to do first is make sure that you have the character game object selected in the hierarchy. You can see that's been done as it's highlighted in blue, and we see the movement gizmo there in the scene view. So once that's selected, we need to open up the animation window. Again, there are several methods of doing this. First of all, I'm going to show you the first method. So we can click on window here at the top, and then we just click on animation. That brings the animation window up, but as we looked at in lesson, it brings it up in a separate window, and I would like to incorporate that within the Unity editor itself. So I'm going to close that off for now. If you work on a dual screen monitor, or if you are working with more space, like what I've done here, I've actually shrunk the Unity window down, animation, that's fine because I can have that separately. If I want to incorporate that within the Unity editor itself, in the hierarchy, there is a little tab there where the mouse is. Click on there and we go to Add Tab and click Animation. So that's incorporated that within the editor. So make sure the character object is selected. You can see that there. And then we go to Animation. What we do is we need to create a new animation. So in the bar there, just above where it says Add Curve, we click in there and click on Create New Clip. What we're going to do with this, I have set up an animations folder. So we're going to save it in the animations folder, and we are going to do the walk animation first. So we're going to put right walk. So this is going to be our animation sequence which walks to the right. So once that's done, we are going to grab our sprites. So I can select them individually by holding in Control, or I can click on the first one, holding Shift and click on the last one, and it will group select. So if you remember, we are only actually going to select the sprites that are walking, because with this animation cycle, there's one at the beginning and one at the end that are stationary. We don't really need them because we have got an idle animation that we're going to set up in a minute. So I'm going to drag across those 6 sprites for the right walk and drop them in the animation window. So as you can see, we can now see the character in the scene view. When we press play, we can see something really weird happening. What that's doing is, because if you remember, in the animation window there is a sample rate, and the sample rate at the minute is set to 60 frames per second. We have only actually used 6 frames in our animation, so we need to change that sample rate to 6. So that's going to now play 6 frames of an animation per second when we press play. That's more what we're looking for. He plays, although he's a little bit jerky, he plays more fluid. So that's the right walk setup. What we're going to do now is initialize the left walking animation. So to do that, we're going to click in the same place and click on create new clip. Again, we're going to navigate to the animations folder and we are going to save that in here and call that left walk. Again, some of these windows might look a little bit different. Don't let that confuse you. Everything's exactly the same. It's just because I'm using a Mac, everything looks a bit different. So I'm going to select those 6 again and drag drop over into the window. The same thing will happen again. It'll be too fast because the sample rate is set to 60 frames a second. So what's actually happening is, because we've only got 6 frames of animation in there, it's playing each of those frames, I think around 10 times per second. Because we have 6 frames, times that by 10, that makes 60. So each frame is being played 10 times per second. That's not what we want, is it? So we change the sample rate to 6. As you can see, that sets it up okay. So now we're going to create the idle animations. When we make the character interactive, there will be it'll be walking left and right. So we need to set up an idle animation for idle left and idle right. So what I'm going to do first is set up the idle right animation. And as you can see here, I have my individual sprites selected. I'm going to drag and drop them over. And again, when we press play on that, it moves really quick. I'm going to drop the sample rate down to the same as the walk cycles, so 6. That looks a little bit slow, so I'm going to change that to something like 8. Yeah, that looks alright. That looks okay at that. So again, create new clip, navigate to the animations folder, and this one is going to be called idle. Oh, make sure the naming conventions are right. Idle left. And same again, we're just going to drag and drop the character sprites into there. When we press play, again we get something really funky happening. We press 8, change the sample rate to 8. That's more what we're looking for, so that's ideal. So now we have our animations set up. As we can see, when we look at the animation window, we have all 4. We have idle left, idle right, left walk, and right walk. So that's it for this part. What we're going to do in the next part, we're going to actually look at creating linkage between these animations, and we are going to incorporate some C# script. So I'll see you in part